Being a diabetes YouTuber is fun, but there's a lot more to it than you think. Today, I've invited fellow YouTuber Tom Vesely of Type 1 Talks to talk to me all about his diabetes origin story and how he got into sharing about blood sugar management and tech on YouTube. Welcome to the show. I'm Justin. I have type 1 diabetes, and on here, I talk all things diabetes tech, news, and management with providers, tech leaders, and those thriving with diabetes. Tom and I met about a year ago at ADA, and then we saw each other again at ATTD. He's become a good friend and someone I can talk to about working in this business, both YouTube and the diabetes space. He told me what inspires him to create his content, and I knew that I had to have him on the show to share that story. We get into how he chooses what videos to make, how CGM and automated technology has changed his management, and he just got on DIY Loop. So I asked him about his experience getting on that and how it compares to other systems he's used like Omnipod 5 and Tandem's Control-IQ algorithm. If you like this video and want to see another collaboration, give this video a like on YouTube. If it gets over 500 likes, we will make another video together. I've also got some announcements. Diabetech now has a free Discord channel where all of our listeners can discuss diabetes technology and innovations and provide support. There are channels for all the pumps, CGMs, there's a DIY channel, and more. We've got over 150 users already, and there's a ton of conversations going on, which is amazing. So feel free to join that group with the link in the show notes. And for extra privileges on Discord and exclusive behind the scenes looks at the content I create and special interviews, sign up for our Patreon. It costs the price of a latte each month, and it helps support the channel. Keep in mind that anything you hear on today's show or any of my pages is not medical advice. Always consult with your physicians before making changes to your healthcare. Today's episode is sponsored by T1D Exchange. You can directly make an impact on diabetes healthcare, treatments, and technology by participating in the T1D Exchange registry. It starts with a simple survey about your life with T1D, and it only takes about 15 minutes. After that, you'll have a personal portal with ongoing T1D study and survey opportunities. Plus, some of these studies even offer compensation. Signing up with the link in the show notes helps support my channel, and it allows me to continue putting out free content. You can sign up at t1dexchange.org/diabetech or click that link in today's show notes. Tom, oh my goodness, you are on the podcast. This is amazing. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Justin. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here. You have a great podcast, and I'm honored to be here as a guest.
So first, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do in the community? You have your channel, Type 1 Talks. What kind of videos do you have on there?
So on my YouTube channel, I make videos about blood sugar management and also a little bit about diabetes tech, not as much as you. And you do it so much better than me. So I'm actually transitioning a bit more into that blood sugar management topic, which I feel I can do better. And you are really good at diabetes tech. So I'm actually taking more of that area right now. But in general, I'm just trying to help everyone who lives with type 1, type 2 diabetes, LADA, prediabetes, any kind of diabetes to navigate their diabetes journey. That's the mission of my YouTube channel.
Yeah, I love your videos. I mean, they're definitely part of the reason that I started my channel and what inspired me. You and a few other creators. You know, I saw you all doing it, and I was like, oh wow, I can definitely make a channel about this stuff, and people will watch. What makes you decide you want to make a video? What goes into that decision making?
So it's a bit different what it is now and what it used to be when I started my channel. When I started my channel, my main motivation was really, I found out a tool in my diabetes journey that really helped me manage my blood sugar levels and my overall life with diabetes so much better. That was a continuous glucose monitor. And for me, it was such a game changer when I started using it that I just wanted to let other people know about it and share my story and maybe inspire other people and motivate other people to start with that kind of technology, especially those of them who are not necessarily tech savvy or open to these new things. Right now, it's I have to admit also about the business side of things a little bit and what people really want to see from me, because I went full time with YouTube and I quit my job in public accounting. And so now for me, content creation is not only fun and thing I love to do, but also a source of income. So I have to be a little bit business minded when making decisions what kind of content I will make. But these are the main two things that go into it. Things I think could help other people, and at the same time, people want to watch from me.
I totally understand that. As fun as YouTubing can be, when it is your business, you do need to manage your time correctly. And the way I kind of do that is I always think about what question I'm trying to answer with my video. And if I'm not answering a question and I'm just having fun, I can do that video, but it's got to be one out of every 10 videos or something. But I really always aim to answer that question, and it is following your audience, listening to your audience, and all that jazz. What's your favorite part about what you do?
Let me just respond to what you said, because I think always responding to a question, it's a great way to think about it, because people are always asking so many questions. And if there's a lot of questions on certain topic, then it's clear that people want to see that kind of video. And that's, just think from that mindset of responding to a question. I think that's a great way of coming up with the video idea. And you were asking what I like about what I do. What I like the most is I can basically do pretty much whatever I want. I'm my own boss right now. But at the same time, what I like is I really see that what I do makes a difference in the diabetes community. And what keeps me going is when someone writes under my video, "Oh, that was just a great thing you shared, how you helped me so much on my journey with diabetes." And that can come from a newly diagnosed type 1 diabetic, from someone who just found out they have prediabetes, or from someone who's just learning how to use a continuous glucose monitor after having lived with diabetes for 45 years. That can come from all sorts of people, but that's really the thing that's like super rewarding for me, and that I love about what I do, that I see the results of the work and I'm able to help real people with real problems.
Yeah, it's always incredible hearing feedback from people, especially those messages that are like, your video helped me so much. This changed this entire view or aspect of my life. And sometimes you don't realize when you're making these videos the impact that they will have. Sometimes it's a video you expected really to be very surface level, and it hits someone in some way, and it really does push me forward every time I hear that. So thank you everyone listening who contributes to the conversation, messages, and let us know that we're doing a good job and that it's helpful, because it keeps us going. What about your least favorite part of doing it? I know I have some things that are
that's a great question. There is so many things you and I do that are not so visible or obvious to someone who's just watching the video, because there is so much research and administrative work and trying to not say something stupid. And you probably feel the same way. You have a great platform and you speak to so many people and so many brands. So you can not really say whatever you want. You need to always think about the consequences. And I just don't want to make someone make a wrong decision, when it comes to their treatments or the way they use an insulin pump or a glucose monitor. There are some things we do off label sometimes. Hopefully there is no of the diabetes tech brands sponsoring this video, but sometimes I restart my CGM, although this is not what I should do, or I use my insulin pump in a way it's not meant to be used, and I'm balancing, can I put it in the video or not? And more often than not, I don't put it there because I just don't want to cause harm to someone else just by, so that thing that I have to kind of be really responsible and cannot really say everything that I would want to say always. That's what I don't like. But on the other hand, it's important for me that I'm a credible resource for people, and I know you feel it the same way, because I see the way how professionally you approach your interviews and your podcast and everything you do. But that's just an aspect of our work where we have to be responsible because of the type of content we create. It's related to medical people living with medical condition. It's for someone who if someone takes too much insulin because of something we said on the podcast and have a severe hypo, then it's a problem, and I don't want to create this kind of situation. That's why I'm always careful, and sometimes it means I cannot put in the video something that I would like to share with people just because I'm worried, that could harm someone.
Yeah. That's why I make sure to put warning labels on all of my content that this is not medical advice. This is our experience. You should always talk to your doctor before making changes. I talk to my doctors before making changes. Even if they are off label, I still let my doctor know that I'm doing it, hear what they have to say about it. And that's super important. There is that balance of, what do I say? What do I not say? I try to do my best at reporting on what's out there. And I almost feel like I have this duty to tell people about these systems that may not be approved because they exist. And I am the person that should know about this stuff and wants to relay that information. But I'm not going to tell you how to dose yourself. I'll never do that. I know that one of my least favorite parts of YouTubing is probably how isolating it can be. You're oftentimes working by yourself. Maybe you have a couple freelancers helping, but you're really tunnel vision a lot of the time. And I think one of my favorite things about meeting you and getting to see you at ADA and ATTD is talking about this profession, how we go into choosing what videos we make, and looking at the stats and how we use that information, and just being able to connect with someone like you to grow and meet someone who just gets it. It's kind of like the diabetes community. When you have diabetes and you meet someone with diabetes, they just get it. That's what I feel like when I talk to you, especially about all this stuff. And
yeah, same
it's
here.
A bit harder to find here. That. Right?
Yeah, thanks for saying that. I also enjoyed a lot when we had a drink at ATTD and could just talk, get nerdy about CGMs and how we make videos and all kinds of stuff that some people would not want to listen to, but I think we both really enjoyed it, also with the others who joined the discussion. So yeah, totally the same here.
Yeah, and that's why I'm just so excited to have you on the channel, and I hope that we can continue to find ways to collaborate, because it's just so much more fun when you're working with others. So yeah, we'll see what we can do in the future. Now I kind of want to work our way to the past. So we were at an event.
Can I just jump in here?
Yeah, no, please do.
I just have to say this. If this video gets 5,000 likes, we do another collaboration, right? You have to say something like that on YouTube.
Okay, if this video gets 5,000 likes, we will do a collaboration on YouTube. We'll see if that happens. We need to get your viewers to come watch this to get those 5,000 likes. So we were at an event together at ATTD, and you shared a bit about your story, and I didn't know this about you, and I think that's part of the reason why I wanted to have you on the show, because I think that there's a lot of your history that kind of tells us about why you do what you do today. So let's go back to diagnosis. You were 3 years old, right? How did that affect your family dynamic? I mean, you were so young, but is there anything you can kind of remember from early diagnosis, I guess, or early times?
Yeah. There is not much I remember because I was just a little kid and I don't remember anything but living with type 1 diabetes. When I think of my childhood, I don't remember the time before I was diagnosed. I was just too small to remember this. I remember a little bit about the tech that was, or there was no tech available at the time, but I remember about the tools that we had when I was diagnosed and to when I was in the hospital for about 3 weeks and then released from the hospital. We didn't really have any tools to monitor my blood sugar, for example, and so I can imagine, I don't remember it, but I can imagine it must have changed the family dynamics a lot. The things that my parents have gone through at that time must have been really challenging for them because they didn't really fully understand how to take care of a child with type 1 diabetes, and they did not have a glucometer, so they couldn't check the real-time blood sugar. Not that they couldn't see the graph from the CGM that we are used to seeing now, but they couldn't even do the finger prick and check the blood sugar until I was 5 or 6. That's when we got our first glucometer. And the only way to test blood sugar back then were these urine test strips. And for those of you who remember, who are maybe older than me and were diagnosed even earlier, those are super not real time, and they are not very accurate. These test strips just give you a range of, okay, your blood sugar is somewhere between 100 and 150. But the thing is, it's not the blood sugar, it's the sugar in the urine, and basically that value is delayed by a few hours, or depending on how often you go to the bathroom and do this test. So the tools we had were very limited. The knowledge my parents had was limited. There was no internet, no social media, no active community that you could speak to at that time in my town. So although I don't remember it, I'm sure it was difficult. And when I speak to parents of newly diagnosed type 1 people with type 1, I feel how challenging it is for them. So I know it must have been challenging for our family as well.
You mentioned that in some ways you felt shielded from how difficult diabetes could actually be. Do you feel like your parents really took on that burden even more so than you and kind of shielded you from the difficulties?
Yeah, my mom always supported me and everything I sort of wanted to do in life. And so she allowed me to go to school trips. Sometimes she went with me as a nurse. She did some course to be able to go with me to summer school as a nurse and take care of me and give me insulin shots and everything like that, because I couldn't do it when I was a small kid. I just needed someone to do that kind of thing for me. And so in that way, I was shielded because I could do all the things I wanted to do. I could play basketball. I could go to summer camps. I didn't feel like a normal kid. I could still feel, there was something different with me. But I can imagine if my parents had different parenting approach and didn't support me so much and didn't invest basically all their time into me being able to do the things I wanted to do, then my childhood would be different. I wouldn't be able to go to this summer school or to the basketball game or things like that. So, to respond to your question, I guess I was shielded, or I was supported a ton, and I'm really happy for that.
Yeah, that's really beautiful what you said, what your mom did about the nursing. That's so incredible, and I'm so happy to hear that that she was part of your life like that. Did you talk to your friends about your diabetes? Did you share so much about it now? Back then when you were younger, did you talk about it? Did you share what it was?
I don't think I talked about it at all. I was keeping it very private, especially as a teenager. I had an insulin pump already back then. I think at the age of 12 I got the pump, but I was always trying to hide the pump somewhere in my pocket or under my clothes so that others don't see it. I, was testing my blood sugars in a bathroom so nobody can see it. I didn't really want other people to know about it, and not many of my friends knew it, or classmates. Some of them did, but more that they just found out because I couldn't hide it. But not that I actively told them. I was very private in this, and I didn't want to share it. I didn't want other people to know it. Now I'm completely different because I talk about it on the internet, but I think it took me a very long time to get from those teenage years to the time when I'm super comfortable talking about it online, in an interview like this that everyone can see, all my friends can see. And I know that other people can get there much faster. It took me like 30 years to open about it, but I guess I needed that time to be more comfortable to talk about it.
Yeah, it saddens me to hear that you felt like you needed to hide it when you were younger. And I know a lot of people still feel that way, even older people. And my goal, and I'm sure your goal, is to normalize it, educate, show people that it's just a quirk, and it's also important for people to know that you have it, and also for them to know that it's not a crutch, that we can be treated the same, but if we go low and we need help, I'm happy that I have diabetes. I feel safer when people know.
Right, because they can help you if something goes wrong. If you go low, there should always be someone who can help you if you can't help yourself. So it's great that you feel that way and that you are so open about it, because it's at the end of the day, it's for your safety and for your good. And everyone should be like that in ideal world. But I understand those who are not so comfortable sharing it with everyone around them.
Yeah.
And that's why it's so important what you do, when you openly share it. And on TikTok, you mentioned you got diagnosed on TikTok. So if you were not so open, you wouldn't you might not have been diagnosed with type 1 yet, right?
People always ask me, Justin, how do you keep on your diabetes technology? And it's a simple answer: Skin Grip. And that is why I partnered with them to sponsor today's episode. I use Skin Grip's adhesive patches to keep my Dexcom and Omnipod extra secure, especially during the humid summer, swimming, cardio workouts, and they are a must pack on all of my vacations. Whenever I notice my tech beginning to peel off, I throw on a Skin Grip and I'm set. And I look good doing it because they come in a bunch of different colors, and for a more subtle look, they come in skin tone and clear options. I prefer the colors though because I match them with my outfits. Skin Grip has patches for all CGMs, tubeless pumps, and infusion sets. They're latex-free, hypoallergenic, and easy to apply. As a Diabetic listener, you'll get 10% off your order. To grab some for yourself, check out that link in today's show notes or go to skingrip.com and use code Justin10. Now, back to the show. So, how was your management in college years? Was it something that you were focused on or still pushing aside?
I think I was still pushing it aside in college. I think the point in time, because I'm a lot older than you, I'll be 40 this year. So when I was in college, that was 20 years ago. So I was still pushing it aside, and I went to a lot of parties, and there was a lot of alcohol involved and everything like that. All those things that you do when you're in college. And yeah, I just wanted to experience it, and my health condition was not top priority back then. And yeah, there were some, I messed up a few times. I ended up in a hospital a couple of times in a DKA. I don't know if it was in high school. I think once in high school, once in college after a party full of alcohol, and it was fun, but at the end it was not fun. So drink responsibly, everyone. But I guess the point for me to get from that kind of a naughty boy to someone who is like super irresponsible was when I already was working as a professional in like a manager position, managing a team of people. And after I started using a CGM, I could see the interactions between my blood sugar levels and how I perform at work, how I can manage my team, how attentive I can be in the meetings. I could see, when my blood sugar is 200, 300, I really don't feel that sharp. I don't perform that well. And yeah, that was, I don't know, 6, 7 years ago maybe. And then shortly after that, I really went into. I really started working on getting my blood sugars under control, and soon after I started the YouTube channel because I figured, oh, there's actually a way to do it. And when I'm not at 200-300s, I'm at 150 or whatever I am now, 137. I feel a lot sharper, and I can have a much more effective communication with people. I feel much more energy and everything like that. And I thought, hey, this is really working, and I have to keep doing this.
I feel like I didn't experience this, but I can only imagine that managing diabetes before seeing these numbers every 5 minutes or every minute now, before that, it's hard to attack it and truly understand how things are affecting you and how you want to address that and learn from it. And so now that this technology exists, there are actionable things that you can do and you can learn and grow. So that's amazing. Before we kind of get into this change in your trajectory and your career, what would you say to yourself in your younger years, the you who is hiding this and not treating yourself or not taking care of yourself as well as you could have? What would you say to that Tom?
That's a great question. Haven't really thought about this before. I don't know if I would necessarily push anything to myself that my younger self didn't want to hear, because I was not necessarily like ready or open to that kind of older person coming to me and telling me, how important it is to finger prick and take insulin 15 minutes before I eat, not 15 minutes after I eat, and things like that. I mean, there were other people in my environment who told me this. And I think I had all the information I should have had. I just didn't rationally follow the information. Like most rational people will take care of themselves because they know it's important, and they sort of are mature enough to take the responsibility. And I just wasn't. So what I would tell myself is maybe I would just say, hey, this is the life I lived until the point when I got the CGM, and this is the kind of life I lived after. And I just now feel so much better and so much more confident in managing my levels. And you can do it too whenever you're ready, because I guess there's nothing you can tell to someone else to make them change their behavior. But there is, I guess, some kind of stories you can tell about others who's done it, and just inspire them. Because I always felt when someone came to me and talked to me, tried to make me grow up, when I was ready, it was rather counterproductive. I just did the exact opposite because I have this kind of relationship with authority. I just don't follow authorities always, and sometimes when there's a sign telling me to go right, I just go left. This is kind of my nature, and I'm sure there are other people like this, and so I don't like to be told what to do. So I guess I don't really know what I would tell to myself, but I would just try to understand first the way I felt at that time, if you know what I mean.
Do you think that the support that your parents gave you at such a young age, making you feel protected and in control in some way, do you think that at all inspired what you do today, which is helping people with diabetes feel less alone and more in control?
Yes, I think so. I mean, I'm really grateful for what they've done for me. I think they are sort of happy to see what I'm doing right now, and I think giving me sort of freedom and at the same time giving me the responsibility for my actions, I think also inspired the kind of thing that I'm doing now, because I feel that there is a need for guidance for those who are newly diagnosed, who are learning how to use different tools. And I'm just trying to help because I know it's making a difference. And I just feel the responsibility that I have to do it the right way. And I need to go about it a certain way that helps people and doesn't discourage them. And so, yeah, I think the approach my parents took was really helpful in my younger years. Although it might have felt completely wrong when I was a teenager. They might have thought, or they might have been questioning it because it clearly was not working back then. But maybe in the longer time frame, it turned out to be the right thing to do.
Yeah, I think oftentimes we look back at the things our parents did for us and truly understand how special those moments are, and it's kind of impossible sometimes to truly appreciate them when you're younger because you're a lot more selfish.
Especially as a teenager.
Right. Exactly. So let's get into this change in your trajectory, I guess. Diabetes technology comes out. You're finding that you can use it, harness it to treat yourself better, and then you decide to start sharing about it. When did you start sharing your diabetes management? Was there a specific device or a moment that inspired you?
I mean, there was a specific device. If you go back to my YouTube channel, the first video I made was about Freestyle Libre 2, which now is almost like a historical device. But that was the first video I made. It was an unboxing and review of Freestyle Libre 2. Please don't go watch it because it's a really bad video. Terrible sound, 20 minutes of talking about nothing, and then 2 minutes I actually get to the point. But I was learning. But I can tell you exactly, that was when I got the Freestyle Libre 2. I live in Switzerland and it was only available in Germany. So I drove to Germany to get this CGM because there was like a new functionality that you could receive alarms on your phone and you didn't have to you didn't have to scan anymore to get the alarm. So that was like a big improvement in in a Freestyle Libre back then. With this one, I could really. That's when I went to my YouTube journey. When this was launched, I think the change in my trajectory was a little bit earlier. Like when I got my first CGM, which back then I think was the first generation of Freestyle Libre, which you had to scan to see what your blood sugar is, and it feels a bit too historical right now, but that was the way it was. But this thing really helped me so much because when you do finger pricks, you always only get information about your blood sugar at a point in time, and that's what we were used to back then, just point in time blood sugar reading. So you knew what's your blood sugar in the morning, at noon, or in the evening, but you had no idea what's happening in between. Like, how did you get to where you are, and okay, you do a point in time, and everyone here knows it because everyone does finger pricks sometime. But the thing is, you don't know if you're straight up or straight down. Maybe I'm 120 milligrams per deciliter, but I might be crashing and I might be low in 15 minutes, or I might be 200 in 15 minutes. But if you don't have that information about the trend, you don't have the graph, you don't really know. And so that was just such a game changer for me, because after every meal, I could scan the sensor and I could see, okay, I ate this rice with meat or whatever meal that was, and my blood sugar spikes like super high, and I didn't know this was happening because in 2 hours it went back down. And the reason why was I was not pre-bolusing, I was just taking insulin and then eating. But without the CGM, I could not really see there's a huge spike and then going back down. So when I got the CGM, I could, because I'm an analytical guy, I could figure out, okay, I need to take this insulin maybe earlier. So I did 5 minutes earlier, 10 minutes earlier, and then I figured, okay, I need to do it 15, 20 minutes before I eat. I take the insulin and there is almost no spike. And this was quite hard to figure out without a continuous stream of information from a CGM. With a finger prick, you can't really do that. So that was a big shift for me in like the overall understanding. And I could give countless examples on other situations, not just meal, but going for a run, when to suspend my basal insulin, if I need to eat, when exactly to eat. Before I start running, do I take an apple, or do I take a glucose tablet, or do I take nothing and just suspend my insulin? With finger pricks, you can't really fine tune all these little details, and you're on a roller coaster. You might think you're not, but you are if you are a type 1 diabetic, unless you're really good in control, and I was not back then. But with CGM, it was such a game changer for me because I could see all these trends, and I was just able to figure out things myself and got my time in range up very fast.
And then I'd assume that one of the next big things that came would be automated insulin delivery. How did that change the game for you?
Yeah. I mean, that was another big game changer for me. I always say, like, number one for me is insulin. If I had no insulin, we don't even need to have the conversation. And then CGM is number two, and automated insulin delivery number three for me. Because I had insulin pump since I was 12, but the only thing that the pump does without the algorithm, without automated delivery, is you just pre-program the dose that you want, but it doesn't respond to the glucose. But with automated insulin delivery, the pump gets information from the CGM and it can adjust the glucose levels. I guess everybody who is listening to this podcast knows that. So I'm sorry for giving you a lesson on something you already know. But for me, this was such a game changer, especially at night, because at night when I sleep, I don't really know. I don't check my blood sugar. I don't do anything. But that automated insulin delivery is taking care of my blood sugar being in range. My blood sugar is in range 100% every night, because I make sure I go to bed at good levels and I wake up at perfect levels. And that's not because I'm great at managing my blood sugar. It's because the algorithm is doing all the heavy lifting at night. And that really changed the game for me, because when you think about it, the nighttime is 1/3 of your total day. The day has 24 hours. I sleep 8 hours. So 1/3 of that whole time, I am in range because the algorithm keeps me in range. And that bumps up the time in range again compared to if I didn't have automated insulin delivery, right? And so this is a big deal for me. And I after some time looping, I can't imagine going back. It's just almost scary when I don't have my Dexcom warmed up and I go to bed and it's not warmed up yet. I'm like, I can't go to bed. I don't know what will happen. But that used to be normal back in the day. So it's just such a great tool that it's easy to get used to it.
I'm so spoiled to have had, a Dexcom G6 about right after diagnosis, and then started having automated insulin delivery not long after that. The first automated system that I've ever used was DIY Loop soon after my diagnosis. And I know that you just started using it because you texted me and you were really nervous about getting on it. And then I know that it's smoothed out since then. But let's start with you kind of before you're getting on it. You were nervous. Take me into that feeling you were having and how you were approaching this.
Yes, I was nervous. I mean, I knew DIY Loop existed a long time before I decided to try it. But I used all these other systems. Like I used the Control IQ, I used Omnipod 5, I used the CAM APS. So these are all just commercially available tools. So you just get the thing, you put it on, and you put in all your ratios and everything like that, and you just go. And it's not simple for someone to get started, but it's relatively simple because there is not many things that can go wrong. But I guess with the Loop, I was nervous because with the Loop you need to build your own app, and I never built any app before. I didn't really build Loop. I built it, but it's not that difficult because the team behind the Loop and We Are Not Waiting community is so great. They have so many information, so much information on their YouTube channel, on the website. So everything is described to the point, exactly where to click, what you need to do to build the app. So I was able to follow everything to the point, and it was actually not that difficult. But I was just nervous because usually when I touch technology, it doesn't work.
Oh, wow.
Especially if it's something new. So I was just like, when I'm building this app, I'm sure I will do something wrong. That's why I texted you, hey, is there something? I'm not sure if I texted you before I started or right after I started, but I was texting you and asking like, hey, Justin, I'm getting on it right now. Is there something I should know? Because I felt like you are the guy who had been on it for such a long time. You would tell me, if I'm just to make sure I didn't miss something that's like super important. So I was quite nervous. Yeah. And by the way, you helped me because you said, I think the thing you said, temporary overrides are your friends. And this is like the main thing I'm using now all the time. All these overrides, I have like 5 or 6 modes on my phone, and these overrides are like really great, and it's one of the best thing about the whole system.
Yay.
So thanks for that. Thanks for the tip.
I'm glad that my content, I'm glad that my advice helped you out. And for people listening, if you are on DIY Loop, considering it, I do have a few videos on my YouTube channel that dive into what I like about it, what I don't, and kind of outline everything about it. So you can learn a lot there. How do you feel DIY Loop compares to the other systems you've been on?
I mean, I think it's really on top. It's top of the class or top of the league, or however I should say it. It's for me, as someone who has lived with type 1 for such a long time, I'm used to managing everything. I think just because I was here back in the day when everything was manual, you had to calculate everything manually. There was no loop, nothing like that. I just like to change things all the time, and with some systems now that are adaptive, there is very little things you can change. So when you compare CAM APS or Omnipod 5 to DIY Loop, you have very little things you can change, you can change a lot of things, but you have much less control. You have to sometimes just blindly rely on the algorithm, and you cannot go in because you would mess things up. With Loop, I feel this is great for those old school diabetics like me, and for those nerdy guys like me who like to tweak things here and there all the time, because it has just so many more features and so many modes that you can have a different mode for for running. I have a different mode for working out in the gym. I have a different mode for taking care of my daughter because my usual work days in the office, I sit at my desk, and on Friday I take care of my 3-year-old daughter. And so this is a completely different day for me. So I need a separate profile for that because I'm a lot more active. I have a
Wow.
separate profile for walking. I have a separate profile for driving a car because I go for longer drives sometimes. And I can fine tune each of these profiles for each of those activities to the point where my blood sugar is in like really tight control. And it's great. You cannot do it with any other system, I don't think, because
Yeah.
no other system allows you for so much customization. On the other hand,
Well,
it requires your input quite often. You need to
yeah.
go in and change the profiles and things like that. So it's a lot of work, but I like to do it that way because I like to have the control, and at the same time, I like to have the algorithm to do things for me when I'm not
Yeah.
looking at the screen.
Well, well, good news is that Tide Pool Loop, which is an FDA cleared system based off of DIY Loop. It's actually, I believe, Loop 1.0. That
Okay.
is
Wow.
cleared and coming out on a new pump called Twist. And I talked about it on last week's podcast episode. So people have got to go check that out to learn about the algorithm and the pump. And it
That's
brings
cool.
a ton of the features that Loop has, including some overrides. And then the future of it brings even more overrides.
That's
So
great.
like the ability to create your custom overrides in some way. We'll see. That's the future of it, but this could be the first pump that really has an algorithm that is so close to what Loop is today and will one day even be what Loop is today. I kind of want to end this show with kind of your advice for people who are looking to get into what we both do, which is creating content about our diabetes. For people who are looking to get into that, what's your advice for getting into it?
That's a good question. I was worried you would ask me for some kind of medical advice, but this kind of advice I can give. I think the first thing I would think about, like if I was starting again, I would think about like what's my main motivation to do this? Is it, do I want to do it as a hobby to help other people? And is that my only goal, or do I want to create some sort of job for myself or business later on, or like what I really want to get out of it? Because I feel it's so easy in today's world of like likes and views and algorithms to, if you're not clear on your vision, to get fixated on something wrong. Because as a creator, and correct me if you don't feel it this way, but I think many creators, what we feel is if a video that we make doesn't perform, doesn't get many views, doesn't get many likes, it can be frustrating, and it can feel like this was not a good video. So it can be tricky. So I think having a clear view of what is our vision, what is our mission. Like, do we want to help a certain group of people with a specific problem? I think that's a great mission. If the mission is, do we want to get as many views as possible and we want to be famous, it's like a completely different mindset. But it's totally okay, I think, to have this kind of mindset. But if you're not clear, it's quite easy to that the the all the forces and all the dopamine takes you the wrong way, if you know what I mean. I hope that's making sense what
Yeah.
I'm trying to say. But if you have a clear mission, and I think what you said at the beginning, responding to a question, is a great concept to think about it. If you really want to help people and that's your number one mission, then responding to specific questions is a great way to start and learn how to do this, and sort of find your way to do it. Because the way I make my videos is not the same that the way you do your videos. We all have different personalities and we like to do different things, and so I don't know, just don't copy someone else, but do the thing that really makes you happy, and do it for you, for the right reasons, because I think that's super
Absolutely.
important in the long term.
Yeah, I agree. I think that you should totally watch other people's content and get inspiration from them and allow that to energize what you want to do. And I think I found that what worked out well for me with this channel is that I did start it. Well, it started on its own because I was diagnosed on TikTok, but I never was making these videos because I was like, I want to build a business on this. I was like, oh, well, people are finding these helpful. I have a lot of information to share that I'm learning, and I love technology, and I know people are have tough times with it. Let me just keep making this content. And because it was working well, I just kept doing it, and then it became something bigger than expected. And I did YouTube before with Justin Tech, which is my technology page. It has 35,000 subscribers on YouTube. I haven't really touched it in 2 years, but
Too busy
that
with diabetic
channel
tech.
exactly. Well, that channel, while it has a lot of subscribers, it was growing at a much slower rate, and I think that's because I approached that years ago as I want to build a business. I want to be a YouTuber. I want this to work, whatever. And while it did grow and create opportunity, it didn't create community. And I think that at the end of the day, no matter what you're doing, make sure that you're finding community, harnessing community, gathering community, because that's the only way that something will grow. I think one of the biggest forms of growth on my channel is word of mouth.
I think you have such a great community, and the way you build it is like such a huge inspiration for many people. By the way, when we were in Florence at the ATTD, I was there talking with Justin, and there were like people passing by, and like every other person was like, "Hi, Justin. Hey, how are you? Are you the YouTuber?" So it's really like people know you, and you really created this community, and that's like so amazing, that people just recognize you and get in conversation because they feel like they belong to this group, or to this tribe that you created. And I'm really impressed, with your videos, and like how deep you go in the interviews. I think it really adds a massive piece to the community, or like it just brings so much helpful information, and with such a, you're asking so many great questions that people have, that it just brings people together. And I think your Discord group, by the way, sign up for Justin's Discord group. It's now, you said it's getting a lot of people to join, and that's
Yeah,
another community that you are building, right?
absolutely. So it just officially launched yesterday. We had 7 people in yesterday before I like really launched it. We are at 157 now. So we've
Oh,
got a
wow,
lot of
great.
people on the Discord, and there's a channel for Beta Bionics, Medtronic, Tandem, Ipsomed, Omnipod 5, Dexcom, Freestyle Libre, general conversations, IAPS, DIY. We have conversations going on already in all of these channels, to a point where I'm like, oh my God, things are happening. I'm going to need to figure out how to manage this, 'cause I just created a new job for myself. So I'm going to be eventually looking for managers or admins of the channel. But yeah, if you haven't already checked it out, I'll have a link to the Discord channel in the show notes. And there's also a Patreon, which gives you extra abilities in the Discord channel, as well as I put on the Patreon like behind the scenes looks at like the videos I'm working on, what goes into video making, sneak peeks at what's coming, and like some exclusive interviews that I get like randomly at a conference. A little extra tidbit I'll throw on there. So yeah, that's in the show notes. Thanks for calling it out. Tom, this was amazing. I'm so glad that you came on here, and I think that this was a very unique conversation for the podcast. It mixed a little technology and the creatives, and it was just so great getting to know you. And I really encourage everyone to go check out your videos, because you have the funniest humor. Stupid humor. It's so funny. It's my type of humor. I love it. And you mix it in with learning about technology, which is my goal too. It's to make people laugh and learn. So we gotta do something like that together at some point. 5,000 likes.
Yes, thank you for your kind words, Justin. I really appreciate it. And same goes from me. I love what you do. Keep doing it. I'm not sure if 5,000 like that was maybe a bit too much to ask. Maybe we should reduce it to 500 because I'm not a big enough guest to get 5,000 likes. But
if this video gets 500 likes, we are gonna do another collaboration. I'll put that in the introduction of the episode too. That way people know right ahead. Awesome. Thanks for coming on.
Sounds good. Thanks, Justin. Have a good one.
Thanks for listening, everyone. Go check out Tom's channel. It's called Type 1 Talks on YouTube. There's a link to it in the show notes. And if you want to see more collaborations with Tom and I, if this video gets 500 likes, we will do one as soon as possible. So go hit that like button. If you're listening, go over to YouTube, hit that like button, watch this video again. Episodes of this podcast release on YouTube and on all major podcast platforms. So be sure to follow wherever you want to listen. And I've got links to everything you need in the show notes. I'm Justin, and I'll talk to you later.